I love this. We have some fun resources next week in team meeting. We're going to be talking about a lot of them. I want to talk about just one. Does anybody here list properties?
Yep.
Okay, about a third of the office. Come on, guys. No, I'm teasing. Super important. Are you seeing contingent offers on your listings? Yes, say yes, because
Yes.
you are. You have some people are doing that. And so this last week, I've had at least 3 different agents contact me saying, okay, now we have an offer on our property, and then we got a second offer that's better, that's not contingent. What do I do? And I say, pray that the first offer goes away. But then sometimes, don't you hate it when they say, oh, yeah, we'll waive that condition and we're going to stay in? And one of the offers I looked at was, um, it was ugly because he said settlement deadline is 30 days from when the buyer sells their contingent property. So if I may make a recommendation, please don't have an open-ended contract where you could be under contract this time next year because the buyer still hasn't sold their home. They're still the highest bidder on their home that they need to sell. So I want to show you something really fast. And so I apologize, have my back to you. We have some hot links resources. If you don't know, you walk around the office, you'll see little QR codes. And when you click on that, you get, these are all of the things that we have to offer as a company. I should say many of the things. So there's different tools. There's the Breakthrough 120 if you want to understand more about what that is. Final offer is amazing. You should check that out, listing agents. It's probably one of the best tools that we have available. Under final offer, there's this thing called important documents. I'm sure you've heard of it. When you click on important documents, it sends you to this page with all kinds of stuff. And I know that we can't see it, so let's make it bigger. So I have in there, here's information about Breakthrough 120. Gosh, there's logos for KW Westfield. Mobile homes, if you have a mobile home that you're purchasing or you are listing, there's all the information on how to handle that. I have links to forms and clauses, also buyer broker agreements. There's the required disclosure document. It was updated this month, so you'll want that. And that's the one that's for your listing agreements or your buyer broker agreements. You must use this disclosure addendum because we have a relationship with a title company. And so we just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. Anyway, when you go to the links and clauses, this is a fun one. It will send you to this guy here. Let's make it bigger again so you can see it. I have standard addenda clauses, all kinds of, Dean, I need language for this. I've got it there for you. I don't reinvent the wheel. Use the standard clauses that are on the MLS. There are some additional ones that are super useful. I would like letterhead. I need escrow instructions. I've got that built in. Anytime you use one of these, it's going to ask you to make a copy. And then you would click that, and then you have basically it's your template. So you can make copies and do that so that you're not overwriting my stuff. I know because I'm selfish that way. Close that. Let's go back here. In the addenda clauses, just wanted to show these to you. So I am going to make a copy because it's going to force you to do it. This is what I recommend is that you keep a copy of this document on your computer somewhere so you can do it. But I wanted to show you super fast and because we have more important stuff going on here. And so I'm going to go into some more detail on these broker clauses, Rep C clauses, and then buyer broker agreement clauses. But here's one. It's called the time clause boost. So again, if you would like a little bit more control over your listing, you actually have a chance of doing that. So I'm going to go back to the presentations just because. And we'll go into more detail next week, but here is the time clause boost. Again, don't you hate it when a buyer walks away from you or a buyer won't let go or they won't cancel their contract because they have a house to sell? and you have a cash deal that's going to close in 3 weeks, the house is vacant and your seller's dying because they're paying a mortgage on it as well as their new place. And we literally have that. This one here is one you add to the time clause. Okay. I did steal this from another brokerage. It's awesome. I've edited a couple of things, but it literally has a proof of performance clause. If the buyer says, yeah, we're going to waive our financing condition, great. I like to put some teeth back in. So let me step back just for a moment. If you're old like I am and you remember the old Aladdin and the magic lamp with Robin Williams, who was the genie, okay? And he talked about, phenomenal cosmic power in itty bitty living space, and that's why people move, right? Who has the power? It's whoever's holding the lamp, right? Sellers have phenomenal cosmic power. They can negotiate like crazy people until they sign a REPSI, putting themselves under contract. The lamp then gets handed over to the buyer. The buyer now will determine whether or not this property will close. What I'm doing with this clause is putting a little bit of that power, or at least a hand on the lamp for your sellers. Does that make sense? So the seller could take the lamp back and say, no. If the buyer can't prove, confirming that the bank, they get a letter from their lender saying they can close without having to sell their property, without having to sell that asset, or they have a bridge loan. I had a buyer that worked with Sheila, and we got a bridge loan put in place because the buyer had to knock somebody off the hill, if you will. Somebody had a property with a time clause on it. So we, put together a bridge loan. We can prove that we can close without it. Or they put their property under contract, and I added that little clause. They have a non-contingent offer on their contract. We're not going to play dominoes. Okay? Yeah, Rob. Well, it depends. Like I just told you, we had an offer that one of our agents had written that had said settlement is 30 days after the buyer sells their contingent property. That's an open-ended contract, bad form. It's valid as long as someone's willing to pursue it. All I'm saying is if both parties agreed to it and they went into it, it's valid. Just trust me on this one. All I'm saying is I want to give you, yeah. What generally, if you were writing an offer with a time clause, how long do you have for settlement deadline? Give me some, what are your thoughts? I know it depends, but let's just pretend that we don't have a property under contract. We think it'll sell quickly. We might do something like 60 days, 45 days. It's still going to be a ways out, but I have a time clause in place that can knock that primary offer off the top of the mountain. I always say knock them off the top of the mountain, king of the mountain. This way, basically what it says is this: if the buyer can't supply such evidence, the REPSI is voidable at the option of the seller. So like, oh yeah, we'll waive it because we have $3,000 of earnest money and we're willing to walk away from that earnest money, and still close. We still want to try and sell their house. We really want this house. We're going to say, yeah, thanks for playing, but the seller's going to cancel based on this clause because you can't perform. And I'm not going to take the risk of losing a great offer because it happens that way all the time. So anyway, I hope that this is useful, that if you are a listing agent, dang it, and you get a time clause or you get an offer that has a subject to sale on it, you better use this clause. That's the best way to help your seller. Like I said, they at least get to have their hand on the lamp and they can snatch that lamp back and take control again of that transaction. Anyway, that's all I've got. And you look at these slides, they'll come to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. Give it up for Dean, everybody. That's a lot of information. So thank you, Dean. And we'll turn the time to Shoni.
Thanks, Dean. Awesome. We'll be super quick because I want to give Cody as much time as possible. Cody was previously in the KW South Valley office and moved here maybe a year and a half ago, somewhere around there. 2 years already. Crazy. And it's been awesome to have him in the office. And just a little backstory. He's been in the business for 6 to 7 years now, and last year had a phenomenal year. Over 40 closed units, over 20 million in closed volume, and growing this year over year, which is awesome. And ultimately, what it comes down to in this space is we have to be so aware of how to help guide our clients through decision-making processes. And so this conversation is right on time, and I want to just ask you to give your full attention over the next 30 minutes, and we'll dive in. But Cody, I'll let you just start with kind of your backstory and get into it. This one will go on just for the.
What's that?
That one will go on for the recording.
All right. So I'll just use this, I guess. So this is primarily going to be focused on sales, right? My career before real estate was 16 years of various sales. So I did door to door for a number of years. I was a district manager and regional sales director for Verizon Retail for 8. So moved all around, but pretty much always consumer facing. Then I moved to real estate. Well, actually, so 2018, we had a company-wide, Verizon-wide corporate summit, and 143 people at my position. December, I was awarded #1 in the company. January, left wireless and headed into real estate after that. So I started, I guess, I closed my first transaction September of 2019. 2020, I had 29 closings, and towards the end of that year, partnered with a guy named Kevin Moss and started building out a team. 2021, I think I sold 53 transactions, which a lot of you guys probably did awesome in 2021. But we started building a team out, and then after my partner Kevin passed away late 2021, and running a team by myself wasn't fun after that. So I started to let agents go one at a time here and there. Last one left just over a year ago, and now it's just me. So now it's fun again, which is great. Those of you running teams, I'm sorry. So is this just going to click me through this? Okay. Oh, that's going backwards. So my big thing is, so I every year I do a career day kind of thing up at, I have a friend who's a vice principal at junior high. I do a career day there every year. Even when I was back in wireless and stuff, and it's always surrounding just sales in general, because I think sales has a bad rap, because lots of people are either lazy or bad at it, is really what it comes down to. And the problem that I have a lot over the years, as I've talked to people that joined my team, that I was trying to train, new agents that I talked to, people who have been in the industry for a long time, is they really don't understand this, that this is a sales job. That's why people who've been in sales and been successful at sales are able to hit the ground running at just a different level in real estate. And a lot of people don't like that it's a sales job. A lot of people don't like sales in general. I've heard a lot of agents say, "Oh, I would never do sales." What are you talking about? You are in sales. This is sales. Now, the cool thing is, once I win somebody as a client, I don't have to sell my client really anything. Right? Now I use my sales skills to benefit them rather than sell things to them. And there's not a lot of things that you can do sales-wise that give you that integrity and clarity, I think. I think the biggest hurdle, and this is going to address mostly sellers, right, is what we're going to be talking about mostly here. But most of this applies to buyers as well. The biggest hurdle that we run into is that a lot of people don't set themselves up from the beginning in the way they interact with their clients or potential clients, customers. They don't interact with them right off the bat in a way that is setting them up for success when questions and concerns arise. And I think especially in this market where it is really challenging, a lot of people are, let's be honest, desperate for clients, right? We're desperate for business. And so people are interacting with those customers like they're desperate for business. So there's a lot of bending, and then it comes time for a hard conversation, and you've built the groundwork that you are going to be walked all over, and that you're not in charge, that the client's in charge, and they are in charge. But we haven't really earned the right through the process, if you don't do it right, to be the one dictating what should happen, right? They have the choice of making it happen or not, but you should be in a position where you can tell them what should happen. So I'm just going to just really quickly breeze through this. So what is sales? I ask these kids at this junior high every year, tell me what your parents think of salespeople. And it's awesome. The answers that I get shouted out from these 12, 13-year-old boys, they're liars, they're greedy, they just want our money. It's so funny. And unfortunately, they're not wrong, right? And that's the sad part about it, is they're not wrong. Most salespeople, realtors included, have proven them right and continue to prove them right on a day in and day out basis. And that's the thing that sucks and frustrates me a lot. I have a brother who just passed his test. He's going to come work with me, and he hates sales. Why does he hate sales? Because he's interacted with a lot of crappy salespeople and thinks that you have to do these things to be successful, which those of us who work hard and try to be honest and have integrity know that you don't have to do that to be successful. So first off, what it isn't. Sales is not talking people into doing something they don't want to do. I know that a lot of people think that's what sales is, but it's not. What is it? It's understanding, getting to know them well enough to understand their needs, their wants, so you can provide a solution. And being honest enough to tell them when you don't have one. The last month, I've probably told 3 clients who want to sell their homes and get into a different scenario. There's not really a scenario where the thing you want to have happen is going to happen. And that sucks. It's hard for people, but it is so much better than getting into a no-win scenario for both of us. And I know that's easy to say when things are busy. I understand that. So I want those of you who are struggling to build business, I promise I understand that it is easier to say this when things are going well and things are busy. But part of how you get busy and stay busy is by laying this from the beginning and act this way from the beginning. Okay, so here's the other thing is, what are we selling? We're not selling houses. We're really not, right? We're selling solutions to people that need solutions, want solutions, and we're selling confidence. I had a client tell me the other day, we closed a few weeks ago, and they've bought and sold 13 homes, and I've helped them on the last 3. And the wife, as we were at closing, she said, you know, we've been talking about what's made you different than every other realtor we've worked with. And we've realized that all of our other realtors made us feel comfortable, but you've made us feel confident. And that was, right, like made me feel super good. You know who's confident in this market? Not a lot of people, right? Literally, not a lot of people feel very good about their options or their solutions possibilities. So these are the things that we're trying to sell to them. We want to sell that we've got a solution for you, and you can feel confident that we're going to do our best to make this happen. Oh, this was not supposed to pop up yet. So the goal of a listing appointment. I think my slides got mixed around. There we go. The goal of a listing appointment. A lot of times we go into listing appointment thinking, I'm going to walk out there with a signed listing agreement, right? Is that the goal? I go into a listing appointment, want a signed listing agreement. This was supposed to pop up. The animation didn't work. But I don't go into a listing appointment with the goal of walking out with a signed listing agreement, because what if they're unreasonable about price? What if they're unreasonable about my commission percentage? What if they're unreasonable about the timeline that this will take, or maybe it doesn't work? What if they're unwilling to do what it takes to get it sold? I don't want that listing, right? I'm spending money. I'm spending time. I'm getting stressed when a listing isn't selling, as I know all of you do too. I don't want that listing. And I've turned away more listings in the last year than the previous 6 combined, because they're not reasonable about what is going to need to happen to sell this house. And you know what? Almost all of them, I've watched them as they've listed with other agents that were willing to say, okay, yeah, let's go, let's do that. And they don't sell. They don't sell. 3 of them have come back to me and listed later, and we got them sold because the market and an agent that was just willing to be a yes man put them in position where they were ready to actually be realistic. When I walk into a listing appointment, my goal is, I guess, let's see. Yeah. So when I walk into a listing appointment, my only goal, this isn't clicking through anymore. There we go. When I walk out of there, there is nobody else they would trust to list their home but me. That's the only goal I have when I go into a listing appointment. And I understand that the way I do things, and I've talked about it with Dean, I talked about it with Shoni, this doesn't work for a lot of people. I know that the way I approach this is very weird. I don't have people sign agreements super early. They don't know me. They've just met me. Oftentimes that listing appointment's the first time we've met face to face, first time we've had a longer than a 3-minute conversation. I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to trap them or lock them into something when we are just starting to build this relationship. That doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't build trust and it doesn't build confidence. It operates from a scarcity mindset, and I'm worried they're going to learn something or meet somebody. They'll choose that person over me. Okay. And again, I understand these are easy things to say and feel when you're busy, but luckily with a career and a history in sales, this is how I've operated from the beginning. And it's, I believe, led me to a continuous flow. No, I don't take it. That's not what, to me, that's not what the listing appointment is for. My listing appointments, right? And again, comfortable versus confident, right? There are a lot of agents that are so concerned about being liked and about being their friend that they think that that's how they're going to get business. People will like me, and so I will get business. And you will get some business that way. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're putting them in a position to be pumped with the outcome. Because whether they're happy or upset at the outcome doesn't really have a lot to do with the outcome. It's the gap between the expectation and the outcome. That creates people's level of joy at the end of the transaction. Is this going still? Here we go. Okay, so comfortable. Let's talk through comfortable. Seller chooses a list price. Seller chooses what repairs they'll make before listing. They choose the day and time to list. They choose the time for the open house. They choose the required lead time for showings. They choose. This is comfortable. This is people that like, hey, I just want people to like me, be happy with me. I'm a yes man. Yeah, we can make that happen, right? You might get listings. You'll lose listings. Okay, confident. The seller accepts your recommended strategy. Those aren't the same, right? Now, they can tell you, no, we don't want to do this. Okay, great. But again, these people don't know what the market is doing. They don't know how to do this. Letting them dictate all of this, again, they get the final say, but letting them dictate all of this doesn't really help. The seller agrees to make recommended repairs before listing. They agree to the day and time. They agree to the day and time. They accept the recommendation you make for showing lead time, right? These are different. These two feelings are very different. And if you've laid the groundwork building up to when you get to these decisions and these conversations, generally, they're saying, what should we do? What would you recommend we do? Okay, how to build trust and confidence. This is sad for me to say, but unfortunately, our peers make it really easy for me. I've gotten really good at talking crap about realtors. You know why? Because all I have to do is tell them what I go through on a daily basis. And that sucks. It's awesome for my clients. But all we've got to do is be honest about what happens in your transactions with other realtors, and that will get you a lot of business. So when I go into a listing appointment, I have like a million things right off the top of my head I can tell them that could and are likely to happen with a lot of different agents they could hire, because it's happening on transactions I'm going through right then. Let's go back here real quick. So for example, I've had in the last 2 weeks, listing agents, when I call them to talk about a property and we're going to make an offer, I've had listing agents tell me things that no listing agent should be telling me. Right off the bat, oh, it's a divorce. Why the crap are you telling me that? Like unprompted. Please don't. Do you know why that tells me so many things? A, you've probably got to sell the house. B, when I ask for $15,000, I'm not asking for $15,000. I'm asking for 7.5 from you and 7.5 from you. That's easier to stomach. I'm going to ask for more than if it was not a divorce scenario, right? The things that listing agents tell me, and I'm sure they're telling you too, are horrific. And their clients have no idea they're doing it.
Yeah.
It is. But it's happening. It's happening because why? Listing agents are they're feeling the pinch. They're feeling the pressure. They want to get it sold. They're feeling pressure from their clients. They're feeling pressure on their pocketbook. Maybe they haven't had a lot of closings lately. And we're going to go through that a little bit too, but it's the thing that makes me most upset when this happens. Yes, it helps me. It benefits my clients, and I will absolutely take it and run with it. But it makes me so upset to think about their clients have no idea that this is happening, that all of their leverage is being given away. So now I share a lot of things with buyers agents, but what I do at the beginning is I have these conversations with my sellers. Hey, there are going to be things that will benefit us to share to get more of what we want. Are you okay with me sharing A, B, C, D, E? Right? Have the conversation. You're fine. Go ahead, share it if you've gotten permission to do that. But be strategic. Don't just please buy my listing. Let me tell you whatever you need to know to do it. Okay. Timeline. So a lot of times I got an agent a little bit ago, they had a second offer and I said, okay, tell me about the offer. He said, oh, well, you know, I can't do that. Well, that's not true. You can if your client tells you you can. Have you asked them? Have you talked to them? My clients aren't just going to write a blank check and say, hey, we'll offer 50 grand higher when we don't know what the next, tell me what you like about it. Can you? So, I mean, those are things that I share like, hey, we've got another offer. It closes fast. Probably would like a little bit more on price, but it closes fast. So then they can go and adjust, right? So it's all a conversation to be strategic. But again, and these are things you got to sell to your client. There will, have this conversation. There are things that will benefit us to share. Are you okay with me sharing those things? Right? Be a problem solver. Okay, so I'm going to run through commissions conversations real quick. And please ask questions if you have questions. I have spent years being careful about how I say what I say to my clients. My wife hates it because I make her do it with me, right? I make my wife practice these conversations and she'll go, ooh, I hate that. Don't say that. So I'll rework it, right? As we're driving in the car, she knows that about half the time I'm going to say, okay. And she'll go, oh, okay. Like, okay, don't humor me. Here's what's happening. Here's what we want to have happen. So I walk through the conversation. She practices it with me. Okay. Commissions. This is like almost verbatim what I say when someone asks me if I'll take 2%, if I'll take 1.5%. I've got an agent who will do it for 1%. I say, I'm not saying I won't consider reducing the commission some, but the reason I charge what I charge is because I know the agents that will accept less. And there's a reason they'll take whatever they can get. Okay, literally, this is what I tell people. There's a reason they will take it. So I had a client that called me a few months ago. He wanted to use my Top Golf Pass and we were just chit-chatting. And he said, Katie and I still talk about how when you said this to us, we were like, oh, we have to hire him. Okay. And then this is another thing that I tell people all the time as well. You're absolutely welcome to interview other agents who will charge less. When you do, ask them 2 questions. 1, how many transactions have they closed in the last 90 days? Why 90 days? What's that? Okay. What if their last closing was 6 months ago? I can't hear you. Speak up a little bit. Okay. Market's different. What else? They need money, want money. Okay. If they haven't closed in 6 months, they probably have another job. And this is happening in their personal time. They want it done faster. Which means, unfortunately, as we've discussed, buyer, seller, whatever, their best interest is going out the window. Okay. And it's awful to say, but it is happening. And we all know it's happening because we work with agents who are allowing it to happen. Okay. But so that's first. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So how many transactions they closed in the last 90 days? Second question, what specific things do they do to get more of what you want? And do you know why I asked that? Most agents have no idea. They're throwing it on the MLS. They're putting a sign in the yard and they're praying it sells. Right? The 3 Ps, post it online, put a sign, pray to God. That's their listing approach. They have no strategy. They have no way they go about when they do even have an interested buyer getting more. I have a listing in Vineyard We were on the market 21 days, not long. We'd had 4 showings total, no offers. We get an offer. It's not what we want. We're under contract at list price with no concessions because the buyer's agent gave me more info than she should have given me. They love this home. Where do you need the price to be to make this work? Okay, so this isn't just on the listing side. It's happened buyer side too. So again, last 90 days matters. If you don't see closings, and you can look them up, right? Like look up these other agents. And I have people tell me, I don't always ask who the other agents are interviewing are, but sometimes I will. And I'll look them up and be like, do you want to see? Do you want to see who you're interviewing? They're not going to tell you that they haven't closed anything in a year. Do you want to see? Oh, I'm not telling you that. This is how to work with your client. No, but I have things that I do that are different than everybody else. And each of you do, right? You have the things that you do that work great for you. You don't have to try to do what everybody else is doing, right? But there needs to be specific things that these are the things I do that are outside the ordinary. Okay. Other commissions conversations. This is another one that I have. Well, they told me they do it over 1%. I say, okay, if you were getting paid, and I say this to clients, if you were getting paid a third to a half of what the going rate was for your job, would you give 100% of your normal effort? Most people wouldn't, and I'm not in the business of giving a half effort. And I don't want you to ever be worried that I am. Okay, so I had a client not long ago. We had bought a home at $1.3 million. 2 years later, things had changed financially for them, and so we needed to sell and get them into something smaller, right? Make things a little bit more affordable for them. My client's dad works for a builder, and he had told his son, the market's tight, the market's tough. I've got a buddy who's an agent who will list it for you for 1%. So my client called me. He said, Cody, I feel really embarrassed asking this. We've got this other guy offering to do it for 1%. He's been in the industry 30 years. Is that something you're willing to do? So what did I do? I went back to this. I'm not saying I won't. I'm not saying I won't, but I want you to go talk to him. I want you to go talk to that other agent and let me know how it goes. So he calls me back the next day. He says, okay, we're listing with you. This guy was going to get 1%. What is he going to want if he's listing for 1%? Sell it fast. So you know what he recommended they list at? 1.2, right? $100,000 below what they purchased it for. We sold it for 1,495. We like 67 days to get under contract. Oh, but again, only one offer, and we got $5,000 less than our list. No commit or no concessions. Okay. And these are things that I tell my clients. This is happening. You know they're happening because you hear it from your clients. You hear it from other agents. Share those things with them. I'll tell, and this is another thing that I do. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is the conversation I had with them. Before I tell you what I'm willing to do on commission percentage, go talk to that person that's offering to do it for less. Have that conversation and then come back to me and we'll talk. I'm not telling you I won't, but before I tell you what I will do, go talk to them. You decide who you would want to hire in the first place, and then let's talk commission. And again, a lot of this is just coming from a place of, I don't know where I left my phone. What time is it? We done? Okay. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, this is the commission conversations, right? We're going to move on to pricing. Feel free to like share specific objections that you're having to overcome and you don't know how to overcome. Anything different than what we've gone through already? No, you guys are just killing it. 3% all day, every day, huh? Good for you. You asked 2, to be fair. I answered one of them. Mhm. Yeah. So I tell my clients, like, look, I'm going to run 3 sets of comps. One is against sold. So you know where an appraisal will be because that's our cap. But more importantly is we need to know what our competition is. And that can change. I have a home in Santa Quinn that when we listed, our price was great. Within 30 days, like 18 homes that were very similar were listed by a builder for less than we were listed at. And so we had to adjust. But I tell them, like, look, I'm going to run these comps and I'm going to tell you, if I was a buyer, if we were looking for a home for you and we saw this home, where would it need to be for us to feel like they're being reasonable? But mostly, here's the range. I think I've got this in here actually in the pricing. Okay, cool. So we can start at the price you want. So they always want higher, right? We can start at the price that you want. And I will always do everything I can to get you as much as possible. However, the market is telling us that this range is probably the range that we'll actually get. And if you wouldn't be willing to accept something in that range, then we're both likely to be wasting time and money, getting frustrated with each other, and you'll end up being upset with me at the end. And that's not a result I'm willing to be a part of. And again, I had this conversation on Saturday with a lady, and we are listing her house today at the price that I told her it would need to be. She was like $80,000 off, right? It's just not realistic. But again, her ex-husband is a realtor. They're still on good terms. She told me she was going to call him and he'd do it for 1%. I was like, that's great. Good luck. I hope it goes well. She called me Monday and was like, okay, let's go. Right. And I don't know what conversations were had, but this is the conversation that I had. Well, that definitely has made me draw more of a hard line on allowing people to have unrealistic expectations and sort of setting us up for it to fail. Because again, we're working to build long-term business. I don't want this transaction as much as I want all your transactions. I don't want this transaction as much as I want all your family's transactions. Right? But also, once you get rolling a little bit, I think it becomes easier to start putting yourself in the headspace of, man, I just want to help people get in a good spot. And I know that when there's like urgency and a little bit of a pressure because you're not having a lot close, it sometimes is easy to lose sight of that a little bit. But I promise you, when that moves to the top of the list again, these become way easier conversations to have. They're harder to have when you're feeling stressed financially. This is, I think, the most important part of all of it, though. Start feeling like you were hired to do a job rather than just being grateful they chose you. Right? This is the only industry I'm aware of where if I have a plumber come do work at my house, he doesn't give me a freaking gift after fixing stuff at my house. It's the weirdest thing that happens. Why are they hired us and we did a job for them. Realtor is one of the only jobs I'm aware of that everyone and their dog feels entitled to a portion of your income. And why? They do it because we treat them like we're just grateful. Thank you so much. No, you're welcome. How about you're welcome? Right? I just negotiated like a beast for you, saved you $150,000, whatever it may be. And we do that often. Hopefully you do that often. But if you come into the transaction, just this little like humble mouse, thank you every step of the way, rather than saying like, hey, I'm here to do a job and I want to do the job for you. Here's the parameters I'm willing to work under. And I work hard and I'm good at what I do. And I tell clients this all the time. There's probably agents out there that could do some of the things better than I do, but I believe no one's going to get you more than I got for you. I believe no one will save you more money than I saved for you. Now, is someone out there doing things better than me? Of course. But I feel confident that there's probably not a lot of it. And the reason I know that is because when I get offers that I give the agent a little bit of pushback. Hey, I haven't presented this yet, but I don't think that offer is going to fly. You know what the first thing out of their mouth? Oh, that's okay. They're willing to come up. What are you doing? Why would you tell me that? And again, can you tell I'm like passionate about this? Our clients are really trusting us, but the thing that they're trusting you with the most, if you don't act this way, they're trusting you with information more than anything else. If you act this way, they trust you on a whole different level. And when you get closed, there's less of this, oh crap, I got to get them something nice to justify what they just paid me. No, I justified what they paid me through the transaction. Sound a little bit cocky, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I do. So again, it's not that I'm unwilling to give gifts. I just think the idea of we act grateful for the business instead of our clients acting grateful for us a lot of times. And I think that's because of the way we interact with them. I think we need to be a little bit more confident about what we're bringing to the table and that they got a deal rather than we got a deal. So that's all I've got. Does anybody have any other questions so we can wrap up and eat some Costa Vida? Yes. So things have shifted a little bit since when I started. When I started, I was struggling to get business rolling real early. I was in my late 30s. Most of my SOI was already in second homes. I didn't have a lot of people in my SOI looking to do anything at that point. So when I partnered with Kevin Moss, he had a bunch of, Kevin, he had a bunch of Realtor.com leads he was paying for and didn't have time for. So I took all of those at a 50% split. Realtor.com leads are very different now than they used to be. Right now it's all referral fees and all that stuff with Zillow and everything. So I don't know how that would work now, but those were good because I had the sales skills. I needed people that were interested in doing something. And all I needed was about 10 seconds on the phone with them to be able to win an appointment or win a showing or something. So that's, I think internet leads can be great. I guess I don't know the economics at this point of what all of those lead sources look like. But that was a really good start for me. See another hand? Are we done? Yeah, so I haven't done anything other than straight referral and past client for probably 2.5 years or so. So yeah, everything's just past client and referrals. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody. Enjoy lunch. Thank you to our lunch sponsors. Half salad, half tacos. Awesome. Okay. Enjoy it. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.